Brian White, I have heard a rumor
Uh-oh.
that the most important thing that's going to happen in the Tesla world in the next 4 months is some goldish vehicle that is going to come out and be running around the streets of Austin, probably in by the middle of June, ostensibly. Have you heard about this?
I have. Can I break some news for you real quick
Yeah.
that I
Okay.
haven't told anyone?
Oh, wow.
I got inside information 2 days ago that something big is coming this week,
Ooh.
and they wouldn't say what. Now, it could be that we just heard that there's going to be an S and X refresh, but it could be that we finally get to see the new models. But I don't know. So
Okay.
that's my inside information. It is
Ah,
sufficiently vague to me that whoever told me could never be tied back to it because
I
what they
see.
told me was real vague.
Okay. Well, so I would be excited about either one of those, especially after watching the stock earlier today
Yes.
completely go through who knows what was going on, up and down and up and down. Last time I
Hmm.
checked, it was back to even. So what a crazy day. Okay. So I have tried, honestly, Brian, I really have. I have tried every possible analysis. I've looked at every other analysis by other people with regard to the CyberCab. And then I can't find anybody that I trust that says that a Tesla-owned cybercab will cost more than 25 cents per mile
Mm,
in operating costs. That includes insurance, energy, depreciation, maintenance, and that's
mm,
probably too high. 25 cents is probably too high. It
mm,
might be closer to half that, like around 12 cents.
mm.
Does that number square with your analysis, your view of what other people have been saying?
No, no,
No.
no. Thanks for having me on. It was a good show today. I appreciate it. No, so let's look at the costs other companies incur. Uber's platform fee is 60 cents a mile. That's outrageous. Okay, let's ignore that. Your energy cost, let's say you're getting 5.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Most markets, you're only talking 2, 3 cents, right? I think that's reasonable, 2, 3 cents. But if you're going to be public charging, that number is going to be much higher. You're already at, if you public charge 4 or 5 cents a mile.
Hmm?
So right there, that's just the cost of that. The cleaning will be easier. Tires cost money. Um, I assume this will be good, reasonably good on tires, but they do cost money. And not all of your miles are paid. Not all of your miles, you will be deadheading. I'm confident that a cybercab will have fewer deadhead miles than an Uber
Hmm.
because just the start and end of the day, most people don't get to start their fair day at home and end their fair day near home. So right there, you've got a bunch of miles that you have to factor in. So, uh, yeah, insurance is going to cost something. And you're talking about a level of insurance that's higher than what you and I pay for our, recreational daily transit needs. So I think just insurance and power before you get into the cost of maintenance and any ongoing repairs that may come up. But the cleaning is going to have a cost associated with it. The fact that they're using a robot, the fact that it's designed to be cleaned very easily and quickly helps, but it doesn't drop that to zero. And you don't have to clean between each ride. That would be ridiculous. And it varies. Sometimes you might not have to clean for 10 rides. Sometimes you have to clean after one. It varies. I hope the cameras can do a good job of determining that. If not, the next rider who tries to get in and rejects the ride will definitely let you know that. So but I don't see 25 cents uh, being reasonable. I think it's going to be more than that for cost of operation.
For a cybercab,
Yes.
for a Tesla-owned cybercab. Okay.
Well, in-house, I mean, yes. And then, of course, you also have the cost of acquisition in the first place.
Right.
Early ones are going to cost more. Eventually, they will have a true cost of, I'm going to guess 20,000-ish, maybe even less. Just the chips alone are expensive today. Those come down quickly, and especially at scale. And if it's an established chip, you just keep the fab running uh, until it's fully depreciated, and then just keep going from there. So I'm not, yeah, as worried about that, but I think 25 cents a mile is for an in-house, even for an in-house cost. Because for an in-house cost, you have to include all the deadhead miles. Those are on you if you own the car. So I think 25 cents is too low.
Wow. Okay. So do you have a theory as to how much?
I I do. You didn't tell me what
Oh,
we
I'm
were going to be
sorry.
talking about, so I couldn't pull it up, um, but more than that. And the network cost, I understand that Uber's got some really bad code running in the background. I don't know that firsthand, but I have seen enough of how it operates to know that it is not well optimized. I'm confident Tesla's engineers could do a vastly better job putting it together and making it work the way you need it to. I think owning the cabs gives you a lot more flexibility than what Uber has to work with, having a relatively predictable, but by no means set in stone supply curve. So there would be some efficiencies there, but the idea that they're going to reduce it by 80% um, seems impossible to me.
Okay. All right. So you're saying that Uber right now, not counting the driver, is that how you started out? I kind of missed that. So
Yes,
Uber
not counting the driver.
is 60 cents.
The
That's
the
the,
Uber platform fee that Uber charges is 60 cents a
I see.
mile.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
And that doesn't count because the driver would be responsible for the fuel. They would be responsible for the cleaning, et cetera. So just
right.
the platform fee. All right. So Tesla at 25 cents, or my suggestion at 25 cents is something on the order of 2 cents a mile for fuel, less than a penny for insurance. I think around 4 cents for depreciation. Then you've got a maintenance, which is almost nothing.
A penny a mile, you think, for insurance? So over 100,000 miles, they would only pay $1,000 in insurance?
Yeah, because
I
because
don't,
they just don't not going to have any accidents.
right. But
And
but
it's
you're also insuring
they'll be self-insured
but
or
you're also insuring the other cars on the road. You have to insure all the people around you. You have to insure the passengers. 1,000 is, I would argue, too low for 100,000
if
miles.
you go to 5 cents a mile, you still all I'm saying is it's adding up
Hmm.
5 cents a mile for let's make it 5 cents a mile for insurance.
Hmm.
5 cents a mile, and you get a couple of 3 cents for energy, and you get you get 4 cents, 5 cents maybe for your depreciation. The rest of and cleaning again, roboticized at night or whatever. I mean, you don't have a lot of costs above that. Again, I think Kathy Woods got it down to 12 cents when it gets to volume. But I was trying to add a lot of other stuff on that Kathy's not, I think, taking into consideration in the early days to get to 25 cents. But if you want to say 35, I'm not going to argue, but I don't think it's going to be much more than 25.
If you're going to get 250,000 miles out of it and it costs $25,000, wouldn't that be 10 cents a mile in depreciation?
That would be 10 cents a mile in depreciation, but I think they're going to get more than that, and more than that, more a
So at
mile.
a 500,000, it's still 5 cents a mile in
I
depreciation.
think the car will only cost them about 16,000 is kind of the number that people have been bandying about.
Okay. I can see them at scale getting to 16,000. Um, but I think your figures are very generous. Where's this going?
Okay. Yeah, why did I even bring it up in the first place?
No one knows, Randy. That is one of
Nobody
life's
knows.
great
Nobody.
mysteries.
So the real question is if 35, I'll take 35. If it's 35 cents a mile, what are any of the other competitors going to even do?
How many pieces of glass is in your car? I don't care what you drive. I looked up the I-Pace that Waymo uses, and it's got one, two, three, four side windows on each side. That's eight. The windshield makes nine. The back makes 10, and then you've got the sunroof or the panoramic glass that makes you're at 10, 11 pieces of glass. Some cars only have nine pieces of glass. A CyberCab has three. And now you say, well, okay, boy, you know what? They actually are saving a bunch of money right there on glass alone. But it's not glass we're talking about. It's everything. It's everything all the way down to the choice of hinges.
Mhm.
It is absolutely every system and every part of every system. Uh, yeah, but cars are going to get dinged up. Well, we just heard yesterday that they're going to be injection molded plastic, which was, of course, my leading theory, because it's not going to be stainless steel. They don't want anything that has to be painted. That leaves you with carbon fiber and plastic. And carbon fiber is too time intensive and cost intensive, even using efficient methods. It's going to be plastic. Do you know what it takes to do body work on a plastic car? Uh, a screwdriver. Okay, a wrench. It takes a wrench. You take a panel off, you put a panel on.
Line.
And how hard is it to match plastic, injection molded plastic, to other injection molded plastic? I think you know the answer to this better than anyone. Would you? I will answer your question, but first I want you to tell me that. How easy is it? Randy, last 5 years ago, I bought 5,000 bottles from you, and they were this number green.
Right.
I'd like to buy another 5,000. Will they match?
They'll match.
Exactly, they'll match because pellets in, color out, right?
Right. Well,
That's
percentage is the only thing you can talk about. So yeah, you could have a
right.
higher or lower percentage compared to your raw plastic. But yes, and this is going to be different anyway. This is not going to be, well, I guess there'll be a substrate. There has to be a substrate, but it's a very special kind of injection molding where the color is put in after. So you put the raw material in first. It is sitting there in the mold, I mean, for a fraction of a second, I'm assuming, but then the color is thrown on top of it.
Hmm.
And then it is compressed. So it's kind of like a dual extrusion. It's kind of like, marrying them together where they
Mhm.
become 100% bonded. So that's even easier to match in terms of color.
So, how will someone compete with a CyberCab on cost per mile? Let's forget platform costs. Let's forget insurance. Let's forget all that. Let's pretend the driver's free, even though they're not. Because the CyberCab driver isn't free. No, but it's so close to free it doesn't matter. But let's throw all that out and let's just talk about the car. Are you going to buy a Hyundai or an I-Pace or any of the other legacy vehicles, which cost 50 grand before you modify them? Well, we're going to buy them in such great numbers. They will come from the factory modified. Okay, fine. Are you going to do that uh, to have a vehicle that's harder to clean, that's harder to fix, that's only going to last 150,000 miles? Well, Brian, I'm not convinced this CyberCab is going to last 200, 300,000. Why? The LFP battery, which is what we believe it's going to have, will last 500,000 miles consistently. If it doesn't, you replace the battery. That's fine. That's a thing that can happen. Well, the motor could wear out. Replace the motor.
Right.
It's very small. It's very easy.
Right.
Now you've got a whole new drivetrain by replacing two parts. Well, the ball joints will wear out. Again, that's an easy fix. There's a reason you would see like 55 Chevys that have 1,000,000 miles on them. Is it because the 55 Chevy was the best car ever built? No, it's because when it broke, it was cost effective to fix it. And this is the same thing, except that instead of rebuilding the motor, you just swap it out. So how are you going to compete on cost with a purpose-built, highly efficient, highly, purpose designed from the ground up vehicle? You're not. Poorly is the answer. I hope when it launches that demand is strong enough and supply is what we think it's going to be, what it already is today, so that Tesla can charge the same fares as everyone else. Not cheaper. Don't make it cheaper unless you need to, or make it 5% cheaper. Because if it's at price parity in Austin, in San Francisco, in Phoenix, it's already cheaper because there's no tips. So that alone makes it cheaper, but let's keep going down. Let's drop it 5%, see how much market share we get. And meanwhile, Uber is not making much money. We've seen their financials are, despite charging 60 cents a mile to every ride that ever happens anywhere, they're still barely making any money, and they only hit some degree of profit very recently. This will be not an immediate cash cow, but as soon as it gets out of trial and scales at all, the financials get insane because what you're doing is uh, it'd be like you and I are both going to have a motorcycle taxi service here in this busy, crowded city. I'm driving a $500 scooter and you're driving a $20,000 Harley. Where's the advantage to that $20,000 Harley in city traffic?
Right.
There's none. So which one of us is going to make more money? I'll be able to scale and you won't.
Yeah. So then I had brought up a couple of weeks ago the idea that Tesla already has its infrastructure in place for charging, for warehousing, when the cars are not in use, for cleaning. I don't remember who, but some co-host, and I don't think it was you, poo-pooed that idea and thought they would create new centers for these cabs to go to. But Lars seemed to indicate yesterday, no, they're going to put in charging pads. Or would that be the right way to call them? A charging
I would
pad?
call it that. Yeah.
Okay. So they're going to put like 5 charging pads. If you got a 50 existing units in one of these charging locations, 5 of them will be switched out to inductive.
Yes. And in the short term, I could see that you would be able to take just start with the unit at the end. There's another parking spot next to it that is not a Tesla charger. Take that last supercharger, plug it into a Y junction, put 2 pads down. Now you've got, because these are not going to be charging at 300, even 200 kilowatts. These are going to be charging lower because the battery is so much smaller. You don't need that kind of power, and you don't need the liquid cooling. So if you don't need the liquid cooling, the pads are very easy to operate. And I think that in cities, there will be purpose-built depots because that's where you're going to put the cleaning robot. I don't think you want to put them in the existing service centers. Those are already very full. And the last thing you want in a busy, crowded service center is traffic driving through all day. But these could be built anywhere. They don't have to be somewhere good. They could be the worst location around. Well, there's no stores, there's no restaurants, there's no bus access. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Well, it's way behind. It's a flag lot that's way behind. It doesn't matter. You could put them in parking garages that are notoriously underutilized. Uh, you know, some hotels have parking structures that were built 20, 30 years ago for an amount of visitors they no longer get. Perfect. Give them a token amount of money. It's more than they're getting now. And they've got the best access to cabs in town because they're right there.
Yeah. So then there's also these charging locations, of course, Tesla can charge themselves at basically no
cost.
Yeah, at cost.
At cost. That's the other thing is then the question becomes, how are you and I going to compete with Tesla with our CyberCabs? That's a question that would run into monopolistic issues, but there's an easy way to mitigate it. Sell us power at cost.
Yep.
And then, maybe just you could adjust it on the network fee side. But yeah, if you go to, if you've got an autonomous Waymo, it's going to need to charge probably at like an Electrify America or someone's house or someone's business. That's expensive. But if you've got an autonomous Tesla, I imagine you'll be charging at a in-network Tesla. I mean, it has to be because no one else has the inductive pads. And if Tesla owns the cab and the charger and the location, yeah, 8 cents a kilowatt hour. So 8 cents to go 5.5 miles. You're under 2 pennies. And it depends. It could be, in Massachusetts, it's going to be 30 cents, but in Hawaii, it's going to be 30 cents. But in most of the country, the industrial and or commercial rates are under 12 to 13 cents. And that 12 to 13 cents will get you at least 5.5 miles.
And of course, if you put in your own solar panels, all of a sudden it becomes free in a way, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then the car, if it gets 40,000, so we're talking about potentially being at market which is a little over $2 a mile. Talking about the cost being 25 cents to run it. If you're running at 40,000 miles of paid miles per year, all of a sudden you've got $60,000, $70,000 of profit, not counting any overhead or marketing costs or whatever. So, but $60,000, $70,000 per car would be a pretty good deal.
So I don't know what the average miles driven is, but I think 40,000 sounds reasonable. What's that, 100, 120 miles a day? Bang, you're done. Is that, well, yes, no, it'll be 3 times what an Uber driver does because they can go 24 hours straight. Yeah, there's low demand overnight. There is demand, but it's
Right.
low. And some individuals, I would, of course, want to keep my personal one out as many hours as possible. But if you own 500 or 5,000 of them, you're not going to keep them all out all night. That doesn't make sense. You've already oversaturated your own market. You would just put out 10% or whatever the real number is. But I think 40,000 is quite reasonable. I do think your 25 cents is still much too low, even for in-house. But it doesn't matter. To me, the question is, can the car pay for itself in 6 to 12 months? And the answer is 12 months. I think certainly 6 months, still probably. Show me another business with a 6-month break even where you can, you can start with nothing. Go out, take a loan, not you and I, but let's say take a loan, 25 grand. I'm still making payments, but 6 months later, I've made enough money that I can buy a second one cash.
Okay.
And 6 months after that, I can buy 4. And 6 months after that, I can buy 8. So it's going to change a lot of things. And I'm sure plenty of people will complain, but others will not.
All right, Brian, I think that covers what I was hoping to cover today because, sometimes I get off into my own ivory tower and I'm not 100%, right about things. I mean, ask
Oh,
my
we know.
ask
We
ask my kids,
I don't need to.
don't
I
need.
I can ask in the comments below, is Randy infallible?
So I appreciate you coming on and helping to straighten me out in some of the ways which I might get a little weird. And we will be back with more tomorrow about CyberCab, a completely different take on what's going on with CyberCab. And until then, Brian, and to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.